Well, hello, greetings, family, and Happy New Year. We made it. We made it to 2022. We went through 2020, we went through 2021, and we survived. Now, unfortunately, a lot of people got sick. Some of our family and friends, unfortunately, left the earth plane, and we went through a lot of sadness. So I am very, very sorry for that. And my prayers and my thoughts and my good positive vibrations go to you all that lost loved ones this year. And I also, unfortunately, lost some very close friends. But we're in 2022 and we're praying that their soul rests in peace. And we're praying that they're watching over us as we transition into the great awakening and to the age of Aquarius. So let's get into some juicy news, family. This is really interesting. I got this from George News. Huge, quietly without media attention, the CDC has withdrawn the PCR process as a valid test for detecting the C word. This was to go into effect December the 31st. We are no longer supposed to be forced to take this testing to detect the C word. Now, it's very difficult to find it in mainstream media, but I would encourage you to go to healthfeedback.org and hopefully you will find it there. Now, I caution you that on that website, of course, it will say this is a false claim, this is not true information. So use your own critical thinking and your own discernment to see if this is true or not. But I will tell you that a lot of wonderful, juicy things are coming out. Things that only people like me and people like you have discussed. We conspiracy theorists or we conservatives or we people in the middle, or even some of our family members that are on the left that don't believe in the CCP taking over the left like they have. So a lot of us from different backgrounds, from different political frameworks, have certain things in common. And one of them is that we do not believe in being forced to do something against our will. And we certainly do not want to be forced to have a test that doesn't even effectively detect the C word. And now it's coming out that the CDC is stating that. Crazy. What else is new, Dr. Pruitt? Well, there was an article that came out about the Iraqi dinar. Now, some people think that we have been, a little loony, or we've been a little too hopeful about foreign currencies. But many people remember that the Kuwaiti dinar revalued in 1991. So what happens is the United States go into certain countries and wage a war with those countries, decimate their economy, and then destroys their currency and devalues their currency. Then after time, the United States goes back into the country, helps rebuild it, and then the currency revalues when the economy is more stabilized. What happens is when the country's currencies are devalued, as they were in Kuwait in the 1990s, people would buy the Kuwaiti dinar, hold it, and then wait until the war is over and wait until the country has been reestablished, the economy is back on par, and the currency revalues. And then those people holding who held the Kuwaiti dinar, once it revalued in 1991, they became millionaires and billionaires without us even knowing. So you had a lot of politicians and a lot of high-level generals and military personnel that became extremely wealthy. Well, that was news that we didn't know. We weren't privy to that type of information. However, the creator and our galactic family decided to release this information so that now we all know. And so some people have bought into the Iraqi dinar, the Vietnamese dong, the Zimbabwean zim, and other currencies, the Indonesian rupiah. What else? The Indian rupee, and a very and I think Malaysian currencies, and some of those currencies that have been decimated by war, by plague, by a bad economy, specifically by or at the helm of the Federal Reserve banking system. So they actually were in charge of decimating these countries' currencies. And so what happened is, now that we know about it, people are investing in it, because you can invest in Iraqi dinar for like almost pennies. So I mean, it looks like pennies, but like $25,000 note might cost you like $40. But imagine when that currency revalues. Imagine what the rate is going to be. Imagine if it's true that the rate is $11. So you would multiply 25,000 times $11. And then we won't even take into account what happens when you go to the gold standard. Then the value of the currency will increase even more exponentially. So, family, this is a way that you and I and our neighbors, people who were barely making it, even though we had jobs and full-time jobs and worked hours and hours and hours and could barely make ends meet. Now we can become wealthy. And that's what it means, that the wealth of the wicked has been stored up for the righteous. Listen to this article that came out. Now I'm going to read, so bear with me, okay? I really don't like to read while I'm taping because I look down, but listen to this. The United States stock market almost wiped out his retirement accounts, but retired pilot Ronald Scarpa hasn't lost his taste for risk. Lately, he has turned to one of the chanciest investments in the world, the Iraqi dinar. Let me pause here. If you're not certain about the Iraqi dinar, then I encourage you to go to YouTube and look up Donald Trump says the United States holds millions of Iraqi dinar, or it might have said billions. What you will see, and we could look at that now, what you will find is that President Trump said that the country, our country, actually holds billions of dollars of Iraqi dinar. So if Iraqi dinar wasn't valuable or wasn't going to revalue, then why do we have so much? So let's see. President Trump says America holds dinar. Here it is. It's Trump reveals new details on imminent threats from Soleimani. It is an interview that he did on Fox News, and towards the end, it's the last few minutes, maybe the last 5 minutes, he'll talk about how much dinar we have. In summary, he says, we made Iraq pay us for assisting them in the war. And so he said, so we're going to reap a return from what they paid us, and do not, he said something like, mark my words, we have billions of dollars of Iraqi currency. And so the woman who's interviewing him kind of, I don't know, to me, I think she was antagonizing him, but he got his point across. And so I'm conveying this point to you. If you are like me and you're tired of struggling and you're tired of trying to make ends meet, working 40 hours a week, why not consider investing? I'm not a financial advisor, a licensed advisor, but I'm just going to say what this article says. The United States stock market almost wiped out his retirement account, but pilot Ronald Scarpa hasn't lost his taste for risk. Lately, he has turned to one of the chanciest investments in the world, the Iraqi dinar. Do y'all remember when they used to tell us that was just a bunch of lies and a bunch of hokey pokey stuff, and there was a bunch of scams going on when people were saying that the Iraqi dinar would revalue? Well, that's not what this article is saying. It's not a question of if, but when Iraq revalues its currency, said the Las Vegas-based Scarpa, who keeps dinars in his retirement account. The dinar will eventually have substantial value, possibly the highest in the world, he says. Well, he's not alone in making his money on an investment. He's not alone in risking his money on an investment that can charitably be described as a long-term turnaround project that will pay off only for the extremely patient. Extremely patient because we don't know when this will happen. Thousands like Scarpa in America are buying the dinar, hoping someday the war-torn nation can revalue a currency worth just a fraction of a penny. Now, I'll let you read that article. Go to Reuters. It's mobile.reuters.com. And what I'll do is I'll link the article in the comments section so that you can read that for yourself. It's very, very exciting. It says the dinar, worth just a tenth of one U.S. cent, is experiencing additional downward pressure as a result of international economic sanctions imposed on neighboring Iran and Syria. So yeah, there were economic sanctions on Iraq, and also Iraq was in Chapter 7 bankruptcy, but Iraq just paid Kuwait their last installment that they owed Kuwait, which means that Iraq came out of Chapter 7 bankruptcy, which means that a lot of the sanctions that were held on Iraq will be lifted, which means that soon Iraq will announce their sovereignty. And when a nation is sovereign, its currency is sovereign. Okay, so I just wanted to bring that out to you today because I know before, a lot of people thought it was a scam, but when it makes it to mainstream, then you know something's up. If the dinar rises to just even a penny, you would have realized a profit of 900%, Scarpa said. So read the article for yourself. Use your own critical thinking. Use your own discernment, because this isn't Dr. Kia's words. I'm reading what they wrote. I'm reading what Mr. Scarpa said. But many of you follow me, or I'm sorry, many of you, I don't like to say follow, who are part of my soul family are already either invested or thinking about it. So these are some of the investments, as I mentioned earlier: the dinar, the dong, the zim, the Indian rupee, Indonesian rupiah, Malaysian currency, because the southeast of Asia is really doing extremely well. Their economy is doing so much better. They're thriving. So this is exciting because I had my girlfriend to do a reading on when Nasara would come out. And she said, I'm looking at a reading that says something about the Southeast. What's going on in the Southeast? She said, whatever happens is going to come from south to west. I said, oh my God, you didn't know this? But the Southeast is where a lot of people are investing right now. And she said, what? And so I told her about the Vietnamese dong and the current currencies there, the Iraqi dinar, Malaysia, that whole area in the southeast. And so she said, well, that's in alignment with what you've been saying. Additionally, family, while many countries were decimated and struggling during this whole pandemic, Vietnam was thriving, and that whole southeast region was doing okay. Even India was making a come up. So, hey, I say, along with your silver and gold, strongly consider these investments. Again, I am not, this, a certified financial advisor, but I am a humanitarian, a philanthropist who loves you and who loves all humans and all sentient beings and non-sentient beings on the earth plane. Okay, now this is what I really, really want to get to, because I don't know, family, my mind just thinks a little differently than most people. Well, let's talk about Betty White. Betty White just transitioned, allegedly, yes, 17 days before her 100th birthday. Now, I don't know if you heard that, but 17 is an indication to me that this information is more than just a death announcement. Now let's look at who Betty White was. Betty White is allegedly Barbara Bush's sister.